Welcome into Locked On 76ers. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. I am flat out excited, Keith, and I'm going to tell people why they should too about Paul George and Tyrese Maxey being on the floor tonight against the New York Knicks. All that and more in this edition of Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And we do thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and now the number one sports podcast network out there. Keith Pompey, your writer for the 76ers, beat writer in New York right now for Sixers Knicks tonight. Marc Farzetta with you, been talking sports with you in Philadelphia for almost 20 years now. Goodness gracious, Keith.
Marc, you're getting old, bro. You're getting old.
Yeah, up there. Like, I do have, because,
right
right? Right. Yeah, exactly. Actually, my second year of kindergarten.
Yeah.
It just went right into the broadcast biz, babe. Just boom, right there. Keith, I do consider myself a realist. All right. I do consider myself a realist. I never try to get too high, never try to get too low. Just try to call it for what it is here, my friend. But I am flat out excited about Maxey and PG tonight, even though Joel Embiid's got the illness. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about potentially the way too early trade rumors surrounding Jared McCain. What? Yeah. And also Adem, Bona, Justin Edwards had a cup of coffee in the G League, and now all of a sudden they're back at the NBA level and available tonight. So we'll talk about that on the program today. But let's start it off with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey. Maxey missed 2 games. He had the illness. We've covered that. We've talked about it. PG, more or less, you call it the best Sixer performance he's had, 35 points against the Hawks, granted in a losing effort. He had 23 points the previous game, 22 points the previous game. All of a sudden, PG seems to be finding a little bit of a groove through those 2 games. I'm excited to see how it works. Now, I don't know if it'll amount to a win against the Knicks, but at least seeing these 2 guys be on the floor with PG playing at the level he's been at and Maxey rejoining the fray, I'm excited to see that tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited to see that tonight, too. Before we talk about that, I will say that Joel Embiid was at shoot-around today. Now, I don't know what he did because, shoot-around is going on right now. But when the media, on the road shoot-around, the media is in the bowl when the team comes in. For the first 15 to 20 minutes, they allow you to mingle with people and stuff like that. And Joel came in and, I don't know if he performed or whatever, but he was with his teammates. Now, when Maxey was sick, he wasn't around. So that could be a good sign, right? That could be a good sign. We'll see. But
yeah, better than not.
Yeah, better than not. And you know what? You're right. I am excited to see what Paul George and what Tyrese Maxey can do. And for 2 reasons. The first reason is, Paul George is a guy who, he really didn't – last year he kind of struggled a bit. But he had 3 games against the Knicks as a Sixer. And he had 29 points in one, 26 in the other. And he had 25. So over his last 5 games, and this is included in when he played with the Clippers the year before that, he had 10 points and 25 points. So he's averaging his last 5 games. Paul George is averaging 23 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5.2 assists, and 2.8 steals against the Knicks. So you remember there was a lot of talk that the New York Knicks needed Paul George. Everybody was thinking that with the Knicks trade for Paul George, would Paul George go there for free agency? So, he seems to be over his career a big game type of player, like playing in the Garden, doing things like that. So I'm excited to see that. The second reason I'm excited about this game is because I think right now I am in the minority. I think that what Tyrese Maxey has done thus far this season, that he deserves to start. And he be deemed the Eastern Conference All-Star starter, right? Everyone else and their mom is telling me that, Keith, what's wrong with you? What you been smoking this morning? You've been drinking? You've been doing this? You've been doing that? Because they all believe Jalen Brunson deserves it. I think that Jalen Brunson, no offense to this Maxey Sixers teammates, but he's playing with better teammates that enables him to do more. Whereas Maxey, he has to a tougher fight to get to that point. And the fact that he's 3rd in the league in scoring, I believe that he has proven that he deserves to be a starter. So tonight we get to see those 2 guys go head to head. and we'll see how it goes. I doubt if they'll be guarding each other, but at the same time, we'll see it head-to-head. And let's face it, in that playoff series that they had when the Sixers lost, Maxey averaged 29 points against them. So he was giving them the business.
Yeah, and that was the playoff series. Of course, Joel Embiid was at maybe 65%, 70% in that playoff series. So Maxey had to do more, which is why also I agree with you. Maxey's got to do more. More has to be on his shoulders if the Sixers are going to have a chance to win. Certainly, at least to this point in the season. I'd like to see this 2-game absence of Tyrese Maxey be almost a turning point for the season, Keith, where it's, okay, PG gets a chance to be the guy, if you will, be a scoring threat, a legitimate scoring threat, obviously, and then also have more of that 1-2 punch without Joel Embiid, but that 1-2 punch really be PG and Maxey. That's why I'm excited about tonight. Also, as we talked about yesterday, I don't know if Tyrese Maxey needs that game or two after an illness and being off for like a week, essentially, to get his legs back under him. He's such a high energy guy at his base. He is such a quick, speedy guy at his base that I don't know if he needs that game or two to kind of get those feet back under him and attack at full Maxey mode. The other part of it is I'm really curious to see how this really works when it comes to Paul George playing at a higher level than we've seen him at really as a Sixer, higher than we've ever seen him really play as a Sixer, and then couple that with Tyrese Maxey being at an MVP pace that he has been on right now, at least MVP conversation. That's why I'm excited. The other part of it is, if you're telling me there's a chance, Keith, that Joel Embiid is playing in this game, then I'm up in that excitement level. Well, the fact then the fact that you're also playing the Knicks also ups that greatly.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's like I'm saying, just some people I don't want to get people's hopes up high, because it could be one of those things where, hey, guess what? We're not trying to get fined. Like if we're going to have him as questionable on the scouting report, we want him to be in the arena with us. We want him to do stuff like that. But again, when Maxey was illness, Maxey was nowhere near the team. You know what I mean? He just wasn't around the team until afterwards. So we'll see. Now, the only reason why, and I know this is going a little bit off course a little bit, but the only reason why I wouldn't play Embiid tonight is just because we're going to need it. We want him to play. We want somebody to play tomorrow. That would be the only reason. But tonight, you know what? When you talk about what Paul George has been able to do, what Maxey has been able to do, and we look at how big the New York Knicks are. They're going to be playing in the Garden for the first time since they won the in-season tournament, everybody. So there's going to be some excitement. They're not hanging a banner, but there's going to be some excitement. With that being said, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to have your best guys out there, because let's face it, there's going to be a lot of fouls to give. I know you don't want Embiid following Cat, but you're going to need the big presence that you have with Embiid and Drummond, as far as like the two centers. So you really want Embiid to play.
Yeah, I do as well. I want that measuring stick game, if you will. One of the things I have heard, Keith, and I don't know if you heard this yet or not, that for whatever reason, the Sixers haven't posted the press conferences like they have at practice in Camden. But VJ Edgecombe, while giving his press conference, was talking about this kind of resurgence. I hate to even call it a resurgence, but the level of play that PG has been at over the last couple of games here, again, without Tyrese Maxey. And one of the things VJ Edgecombe said was, yeah, he's playing great and he's playing really well. And keep in mind, a rookie saying this about Paul George. Yeah, he's playing really well, but, I always like to tease him that he can't jump anymore. Like, I haven't seen him dunk. Can he still dunk? I don't think he can dunk. Like, that kind of thing. For VJ Edgecombe to be that comfortable with a veteran player, it might seem subtle. It might just seem ha-ha. But to be that kind of comfortable with a veteran player like that, with PG, to say that, it shows you just how much he can, relate, I'll say that, to some of the younger guys on this team and really be a leader as well.
Yeah. I mean, that shows how he relates and is a leader, as well. It's one of those things where when you look at it, I guess a lot of these guys do lead, and they lead by example. Hey, I'm just say something else. I'm listening to the audio, and I'm listening to the audio because I wasn't at practice yesterday. but I'm listening to the audio, and you're hearing like Justin Edwards talking about how, this is the first time that it's only his second year in the league, but he's talking about how the togetherness this team is and how guys are leading. Like last year, they didn't have a lot of that. So, and I do think that here's the thing, Maxey is the guy, and people tend to follow suit, right? So when you talk about PG and you talk about all these other guys, they just want to make sure that they help out and be the leader.
Mm-hmm. I love that. All right, I see a question in our comments. I want to get to that question when we come back. We'll get to that as well as these Jared McCain rumors about a potential trade, whether or not that's ridiculous, whether or not it's too early, or whether or not that's exactly what the Sixers need to do. Talk about that when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. And right now, I'm going to tell you about DoorDash. The season's heating up. DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, whatever it might be, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season so much more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans can have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked. How about that? Also, your gear fresh and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need a dessert now, especially after you watch your team maybe not play the way you want them to play. So from tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order DoorDash in your bag. With DoorDash, get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season delivered right to your door. DoorDash in your bag all season long. And how about Rocket Money? Ever feel like your money just disappears each month? It happens, and it happens fast. A few subscriptions here, an impulse buy there, and suddenly the numbers in your bank account don't match the numbers in your head. Rocket Money helps you get clarity, track every dollar, and stay in control of your finances because managing your money shouldn't feel like a second job. Rocket Money does the heavy lifting for you so you can save more and stress less. That's right. Rocket Money finds subscriptions you forgot about, and you're still paying, and helps you close those accounts. Seeing all your spending on one dashboard makes it easier to understand where your money is going. I like how Rocket Money automatically builds the budgets based on the past spending. It's a great help. So you need Rocket Money. Take control of your finances. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Let's get to this here. Jared McCain. Now, there's a story here, Keith, from the Bleacher Report saying that Jared McCain could potentially be traded to the Memphis Grizzlies for Jalen Wells. What is this a move you'd make? Is this too premature? Have you heard anything about the Sixers potentially moving on from Jared McCain?
Nah, and I think this is the problem nowadays of when people try to get content from. I read the story somewhere else, and what they said is a proposed trade. Like, in other words, the writer came up with it. right. It was a mock. So no. And don't get me wrong, I like what Jalen Wells is doing. He's a guy who he was the 39th pick last year in the draft, 2004 draft. Him and Jared, give it to him. They I believe they have to know each other because Jalen, they're both from Sacramento, right? Jalen Wells, much respect. He went to Sonoma State, which was a D2 school, and then he transferred to Washington State. But to me, it's kind of sort of like, here's a guy who's averaging 12.7 points, 3.6 rebounds, 1.7 assists in 27 games. He's a guy, when we look at Memphis, you have to say, look at Ja Morant. Ja Morant is kind of sort of probably forcing his way out. Memphis isn't a free agent destination. You have a guy right now who started all 27 games. Last year, he started 74 games. You're not going to trade him for Jared McCain. You're just not going to do it. And the thing about Jared McCain, if I'm the 76ers, I look at Jalen Wells, I mean, that might be something that you say, okay, well, what are we going to do with Kelly Oubre? I mean, if we're going to get rid of Kelly Oubre and we don't want to keep him, then maybe we can save money for the future a little bit by getting this young guy who's, a second round pick, and we don't have to pay him just yet. But if you're saying to me that I'm thinking right now I'm going to trade him and I'm gonna keep Kelly Oubre and then we talk about all the other guards that we have. To me, what difference is he from Kelly Oubre right now? He's younger than him. What difference is he from VJ Edgecombe? What difference is he from Quentin Grimes? Now, granted, he is getting a lot of shots, but are these shots that he's getting in these opportunities, are they opportunities because he's playing on that team and that's his role? But if he comes to the Sixers, he's going to have to be behind, and talking about in the pecking order, McCain, Paul George, not McCain, Maxey, Paul George, Embiid, Quentin Grimes. So, I get it. Everybody wants to hurry and make the quick fix, but I'm looking at him as he's probably not going to be any different than Jared McCain right now. And here's the thing about McCain. We got to understand this. So Jared McCain, he played in games last year, but he went out early. Like, this is around the time that he suffered his injury a year ago. There's still like 70% or at least 65% of the season still left. So when we look at it, it's like this is the equivalent of him playing in games January. You know what I mean? Talking about last year's game to this one. There's still going to be some growth. Is he a smaller guard? Yes. Does he have to work on the defensive end? Yes, he does. But for my belief, when you have a team, you have different players who can do different things. He's a great shooter. He's showing that he can handle the ball. He can do other things. Does he give up a lot on the defensive end? Yes, he does. But at the same time, that's where you have Quentin Grimes. That's where you have VJ Edgecombe. That's where you have Paul George. You have all these other guys. You have Kelly Oubre. So I don't think that I would make that trade just yet, in my opinion. Just wouldn't do it.
I think this is a combination of a couple of things here as to why anyone would even throw that against the wall. And you're right to point it out. This is not a report. This is not sources say. This is hey, this could be a trade. It's content, as you pointed out. If Jalen Wells isn't 6'7", for instance, if he's not 6'7", we're not talking about this. Like, it's like, as far as I'm concerned, that's the biggest part of this, is that the Sixers have smaller guards, and there's an opportunity to get a forward that can play kind of either the shooting guard spot, or he can play the small forward, or he can play the old school, you can't play old school power forward, but the modern day power forward, the 4. He's a guy that could play those different positions in a lineup. That's why this is out there. And also Jared McCain's stock, although I don't think it's plummeted this year. I think a lot of people realize that he is coming off this injury, but he showed great promise through his 23 games last year. He has been a little bit of a disappointment this year, but the stock is still there. He still has value. That's why I think this has become a conversation. People look at the 76ers, they see all those guards, they see undersized guys, and they go, oh, they're going to want some size sooner or later. And this is a potential trade that is not necessarily going to hurt the Sixers right now, might hurt them down the line, but they would be getting more size on their lineup. I think that's what a lot of people look at right now. I think it's a combination of the underwhelming start of Jared McCain and also the size. When you talk about the guards that the 76ers do have, with, Quentin Grimes, essentially being the monster of the group, especially without Kelly Oubre at 6'5". So I think that's what they're looking at right now when they talk about proposing this trade.
And also, the one thing, you got to be patient too, because when we talk about Jared McCain, and it's something that I'm studying a lot, because I told you before, and I mentioned on this show podcast, my daughter is undergoing a knee injury as well, so we're dealing with that. And so what they say is, when you it's hard to evaluate somebody when they first come back. Like, everybody, they're clear to play. And Jared McCain and I talked about this. So a year out is typically when you come back from like a major thing. And then 5 months after that is when you regain everything that you had. You know what I mean? So if you look at it and everybody's saying, oh, Jared's been streaky, he's been this, he's been that, it's one of those things where, okay, get rid of him now and then let somebody else do it. Like, I think that at the end of the season, you have to, the 76ers have so many options, right? And the real time to think about that is towards the end, because it's kind of like, well, they already picked up Jared's options, but then you're going to say, Quentin Grimes, do we really want to give him the bag? Do we really want to bring him back? Kelly Oubre, what about him? What are we going to do? But to me personally, those are going to probably be the two guys that they decide on and they pick on, right? McCain, he's still on such a team-friendly deal that it doesn't really make sense to get rid of him unless you can go out there and deliver and bring somebody back and get something with him. So I think that people need to be a little bit patient with him. And we also have to realize, I was saying this last year, when you have two small guards in the starting lineup together, Maxey and McCain, they're going to struggle on the defensive end. They're going to take advantage of that. And that's not a knock on them. Look at Cleveland, Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell. When they're on the floor together, the team is getting torched, right? But what you have is you have McCain in like this role where he comes in. You have Grimes or you have Edgecombe starting with Maxey, so you just blend it in. But you have to live what he's going to give up on the defensive end, just like you do the same thing with Andre Drummond, knowing that he's going to grab rebounds. So is he a starter? No, but at the same time, not on this team because of Maxey's size. But what you do is you do make him a focal rotation player, and he'll get more minutes depending on the matchup.
This is a fun little exercise here, and this comes from our listener and viewer, Mr. Sandman. What's going on, brother? Nice to see you again. If Maxey is Batman and Edgecombe is Robin, then who are, it should be, Embiid and George? Fun little exercise. So Maxey's Batman, Edgecombe's Robin. Embiid and PG are what? Well,
man, I said Alfred. I said PG is Alfred, but I don't think it's that scenario. I think, like, let's just say if I got to figure out who Embiid is right now, right? I just have to. But to me, if Embiid is, if Maxey is Batman, I will say that PG is Robin right now. And the reason being is because he's like the setup guy, right? Mm-hmm. I think VJ Edgecombe could be Robin, but the way the team is set up, he's not. And, we know that Paul George, let's think about it. The night that Maxey had 54 points, Paul George was the one distributing the rock, doing a lot of other things. He got the team started. You know what I mean? He was the second most important player, my most vital guy to the team's success that night. Paul George was. And then, so with that point, I would put, I
agree, by the way. Yeah, PG is the Robin more so. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he's the Robin. So it's up to you to decide who Alfred is, right? You know what I mean? Now, and then, like, but ideally, if you're the 76ers, if you really want this team to be playing at the level you want Embiid to be the Batman, Paul George to be the Robin, and Maxey to be the Alfred, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what you want. That's what you want, but it's just not that way.
I'm going to make Embiid the Riddler.
The Riddler, okay.
Yeah, because it's always a riddle. Is he playing or is he not playing?
Oh, okay.
He's got question marks all over him. He's got question marks. Is he playing? Is he not?
But isn't the Riddler like a villain though? He's a villain though, right? Yes. What you saying?
If the shoe fits, Keith. In a fun way, but he's like the fun villain. He's laughing. He's not as like menacing as the Joker. You know what I mean? And plus, I would never call anybody else in the NBA the Joker. There's one Joker. But the Riddler, I think, is perfect for Embiid.
Yeah, the Riddler.
It's just a suit, a jersey made of question marks. Is he playing or is he not playing? Yeah. And I say that in jest. But seriously. So I'll have to think about these. These are Keith, this is where my idiot brain kicks in because this is what I'll think way too much about for the rest of the day. All right, when we come back, we talked about this a little bit the other day, but already they're back. Adem, Bona, Justin Edwards, little cup of coffee, not even a cup of coffee, Keith, maybe an espresso they had at the G League Now they're back at the NBA level. We'll talk about that more when we return. This is Locked On 76ers on the Locked On 76ers YouTube channel. Back after this. Let's talk about Gusto, ladies and gentlemen. We have ourselves a good time with this because you know what Gusto does? Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating taxed withholdings, managing payroll spreadsheets. Oh, you know how to party. That's where Gusto comes in. To take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is an all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto makes you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for 1 month, one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, for instance, onboarding materials, and direct deposit save me hours every week running a business. Knowing you can reach certified HR experts anytime gives you real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA to get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. And, of course, don't forget about the Everydayer Club with Locked On Sports. We do thank you again for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network out there. You already live your team every day. Now take it up another level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On 76ers with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and so much more, all for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to LockedOn76ers.supercast.com. That's LockedOn76ers.supercast.com and check the link in the show notes below. Bona, Edwards. What do they even do down in Delaware for like maybe 24 hours, Keith? Already back with the big league ball club, if you want to call it that, and ready to take on the Knicks hopefully tonight and available. What's the latest with Bona and Edwards? I believe you're muted, my brother.
Excuse me.
Oh, we don't want to get a hot mic situation.
I know, right? I know. It was funny because like the cleaning lady was knocking on the door, so I muted it. So it was like, so you didn't hear, people didn't hear the background. I came back and forgot to unmute it. Seriously, that's what happened. It just like boom, boom, boom.
I believe you.
So here's, I would say fresh towels. But anyway, so here's the thing. Like they go down there, and I feel like, remember we talked about it. You know, you're not playing a lot. You go down there. It's really just an open run. Is basically you go there, and they were talking about gaining confidence and stuff like that. And it kind of made me think a little bit like, did you really gain confidence down there? Because you as an NBA player, no, and it's not an offense, and I get it. They all
I know.
But like you go down there and Justin Edwards like was torching him. He had 30-something points. Well, you expect that. You know what I mean? Like if you're a guy and you're in the NBA rotation and you had a couple big games in the NBA, as Justin Edwards had a couple big games this season, you expect him to go down there and destroy. And that's what he did. But for the most part, to me, it was more of them going out there getting a look at. Now they look at it, both of them, because they're playing in back-to-backs. Paul George is playing tonight. He probably won't play tomorrow, right? He probably won't. Mm-hmm. With that being said, it's one of those things where you look at it and you say, okay, Justin, you're going to have to be ready because you're going to get some valuable minutes on Saturday against Dallas, right? Okay, Bona, it's going to be a game that we know Embiid's going to miss one of these games. So you're going to get minutes as the backup at backup 5. So to me, it was one of those things where you go down there, you give them some reps, you work on certain things, and you just basically tell them like, hey, look, this is what you do. You got to continue it. So they're going to be on standby. But I do believe that there's going to be some stretches that both of those guys that they're either not going to play or they're going to get minimum minutes, right? Because everybody is back and they just unfortunately, they're going to be the odd men out.
The only thing I saw, or I thought when I saw that Justin Edwards was being sent down to the G League, was I went immediately in my brain to Nick Nurse always saying, I always tell Justin Edwards I don't worry about him. I'm never worried about him. His confidence is never bad. I'm never worried about him. Yeah. And then I pictured Justin Edwards like getting in a van to go down to Delaware from Camden, and Nick Nurse still yelling, I still never worry about you. And Justin Edwards probably thinking, the hell with you, man. I'm going to Delaware right now. But, that's just me. Real quick, you are at MSG tonight for Sixers Knicks. I do have to ask you this question. I've never asked you this question. I think I know the answer to this question. Have you ever walked the ramp at MSG?
Nah, I don't think I ever. The ramp up that hill? Nah.
You never walked, but you know of the ramp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you see it. It's funny because as we were leaving shoot around, this guy, Adem, he works for Philly Voice. He was getting ready to walk down the ramp. He was like, oh, no, you don't want to do that. That ramp is crazy. Like, it's funny because you see the opposing players, like from the opposing team doing it. And it's like a workout to walk up that hill before you make it to the arena. Yeah. So, right. Yeah, I've seen the ramp. Yep.
This is, for those that don't know, I mean, obviously Madison Square Garden, historic and all that. But I've walked that ramp unknowing, like not really. Oh, yeah, I've walked it a couple times. When I would work behind the scenes for NHL on NBC and other things I would do at the arena there. I walked that ramp one time, and I walked with this, like, the best way to describe this guy, Pete, is like a real surfer dude, California surfer type dude. He's like, oh man, you're walking the ramp. Let's walk the ramp together. And I was like, okay. I've known this guy Pete for years. And he goes, do you ever think about who walked down this ramp? And I go, not one time. I don't even know what you're talking about. He's like, Sinatra, the Beatles, Wilt Chamberlain. And then he's like, circus elephants. Everyone's walked the ramp, man. And the ramp goes from the main floor to the street. And the New York City streets, and it goes up into the event floor. It's a historic stretch of concrete that nobody really highlights in the sports world. But when he told me that, I started to get chills. I was like, oh wow, all the people that have come up here up this ramp, they all take the ramp, man.
I was with you until he said the circus animals. I'm like, because you know what happens when they walk.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah,
so they clean Barnum and Bailey, a couple of brooms. Yeah. You're good, no problem.
Yeah. I'm good. Never mind. I don't want to walk the ramp.
The Beatles, Sinatra, like everybody.
Think about that though, because we're talking about it starts from level 1 all the way up, because that's on the 5th floor. So you're walking all that way, and then you got to play a game. And I get it. These dudes are in the tip-top shape. But, dude, that's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, the bus lets you off right there. You get out, and you walk up.
Yeah.
It's like home court advantage, I see. Home ice advantage, I see.
Yeah. Yeah, walk your ass up this ramp and then go play.
Yeah, they won't even have an elevator for them. You know what I mean? Because everybody else goes in the other door, and they use the elevator. But, you got to walk up the ramp.
It's typical New York. Elevator's broken. Take the ramp. Keith Pompey, Marc Farzetta. This is Locked On 76ers. Sixers Knicks tonight. By the way, Prime Video game. Prime Video tonight. So that's where you can see the game. Also, don't forget about the Everydayer Club and all the good times you guys could be having with the Everydayer Club. And also last minute holiday gifts. Someone keeps asking, hey, what do you want? What can you get me? Everydayer Club. For Locked On Sports. That's right. Ask the Everydayer Club. Ad-free episodes of this show, exclusive Discord server access, and so much more. Subscriptions can be gifted through the custom link in the show notes below. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Marc Farzetta, Keith Pompey, Locked On 76ers. Catch you guys tomorrow. Bye.
See you tomorrow.